First question I have for you, and when I did research about you, I found it interesting that acting wasn't your first choice as a job. Like you were in studying microbiology.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. Yeah, I went to school. I did a double major in microbiology and biology, and then I was accepted to do my doctorate down in Atlanta, and that was like the plan. I was going to take over my dad's business, and he was a chemist back in the day. He's a chiropractor now. Um, and yeah, that was it. But I grew up as a dancer and I always just performing was my biggest passion, but I honestly just didn't think that I was ever really good enough to make a career of it. And so I was like, academia, that's what it's gonna be. And everything, the stars all really aligned. I got the audition for I Still See You in a very sort of fluky way, and I modeled as a kid, so I had auditioned for things like through my modeling agency, but
Hmm.
it wasn't anything I ever took seriously. Like I went in there fully not even knowing what it was. Um, but then yeah, this audition for I Still See You was my first time being like, oh, I think maybe this could be something. And then I booked it. So yeah, that's completely changed my life.
I'm curious to know, what did your parents think when you said, I think I might try to take this a little serious and go down that acting road, Dad?
Yes. So both of my parents are very entrepreneurial. I definitely get that from them. My dad owns his own business. My mom also works from home doing her own sort of business. I would say my mom was probably more supportive than my dad, just because he just wanted me to be okay, and
Yeah.
acting is not easy. And yeah, I think he just really wanted me to yeah, to be okay. And I'm sure, there was also part of like the fact that I had been working with him when I started acting, and
Right.
then I was no longer going to be kind of following his footsteps. I think that was probably a little bit of it as well. But overall, they've been very supportive of it.
This was a question I was going to ask later, but it just came back to me really
Yeah.
quick. I talk to a lot of actors who always have this thing where you should not have a plan B. You need
Mm,
plan A, that's it. If you think about a plan B, then you're setting yourself up for failure. What do you
yeah.
think about that?
I think, okay, I completely understand the sentiment. I also think, like the jack of all trades, master of none. If you're spreading your energy into too many different things, you're never going to excel at any one thing. So I completely understand and support, like full force going into acting and then having a job that's literally just a job that pays the bills, and it's not something that you really care so much about that if you had to quit it would be okay. I used to have that. I think I quit my restaurant job 5 times, and they were always super supportive. They would always let me come back. Yeah, it was 5 or 6 times over like 4 or 5 years. But this was advice that my first agent gave me. And I kind of took it the wrong way at first. Now that I'm a little older, I'm like, okay, I see what he meant. But he said, you have to find something that makes you happy aside from acting. So I don't necessarily believe in a plan B. I believe in a plan A that incorporates acting and your life outside of acting. So
Hmm.
I'm very lucky now that I have a job. Again, I'm self-employed. So I run my own business and it's super flexible. So if I do book something, I'm a teacher online, and my students are always like super excited if I book something or they see me in something, and I can take a day off and I don't have to worry about quitting or anything like that. And I love teaching. Like I love working with kids, and it just works so nicely with acting. Just because it is flexible and I can be wherever I need to be because I work from my laptop. So I don't consider it my plan B. I consider it part of my plan A.
Got you.
Because even if I've been thinking about this recently, even if you are a series regular, you're shooting a show for, 4, 5, maybe 6 months if it's like a really long thing. And then sure, maybe you have other projects lined up and that's awesome, but maybe you don't. And then I just wouldn't you get bored? Like,
Yeah.
don't you want something else that you're passionate about that you can do while you're not acting? So that's kind of how I view it. I I understand, yeah, not accepting defeat. I think that's what people sort of um interpret as a plan B, is accepting that something isn't going to work out.
Hmm.
And I don't believe in that. I think
Right.
if you keep going, it will always work out and you will always have success. It might not, you might not be an Oscar winner, but you'll have some version of success. Um, but you have to make sure that you're happy as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because a lot of actors I talk to, they have outside interests, painting,
Yes.
writing, sculpture, pottery, poetry, whatever. And that's their like
Totally.
kind of outlet.
Yeah, 100%. And you need that. And that's exactly right. Like maybe you're super lucky and you don't need to financially support yourself outside of acting, whatever that means. You have to have another passion outside of acting. And great if it's a creative one too, then you're
Hmm.
getting your creative fulfillment that way as well. I know actors, we've all gotten auditions where, we don't love the script or we maybe don't totally align with the character. And so you need something that's just for you, that you can do. And if you can support yourself financially doing it, then awesome.
This kind of dovetails on that. So, acting is a really, really tough business. There's a lot of no's when it comes to acting. How do you
Yes.
keep yourself grounded and deal with those no's when you go for a job, especially one you think you got and you're stoked about it, but then you don't get it?
Man, I wish that I could say, I just brushed it off and move on to the next. Usually it's like especially if it's something that like I got close, like I was pinned for something and then I was released. It's usually a day or so of crying and eating a whole pizza. Truly, I wish I could be like, oh, but yeah, it's tough. Honestly, I would say the biggest thing is to just like do your audition and forget about it. And that's so much easier said than done. And I'm not even great at that. Um, Honestly, I think the biggest thing, and maybe this isn't so specific to like acting and auditioning, but it's not comparing yourself. I'm so bad for that. And so one of the things that I will do is like I'll see online who booked something that I auditioned for, or that like for a role that I really wanted, or they booked something that I could have gone out for and I didn't. And then I'm like, well, why didn't they want to see me? Like, is it because I'm awful? Is it because I turned down that audition that one time? Is it because I'm ugly? Like, I will go through it and like truly, I wish I had a more respectable answer, but yeah, it's a lot of spiraling. I do talk to my acting coach. He really, really helps. My acting coach is John Emmett Tracy.
Oh, from
Um,
Yellowstone.
from Yellowstone. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
so lovely. He's my acting dad. He's Uncle Juanito. No, he's so, so, so lovely. And he's so great because he's just been in the business for so long and he's seen how the landscape of it has changed.
Hmm.
Um, he's really good at like talking me down and also helping. Like if there's something that I can do to change my circumstances, he kind of coaches me through that. So yeah, I would just say do it and forget it. Don't go online and find who booked it and have, like a mentor or a companion in the industry who can kind of help zoom you out. I would say that's my
You were part of a series that I really liked, and I thought there was so much potential. Safehaven.
Oh, thank
Can you
you.
talk a little bit about that series and the character you played on that series and what it was like being on that show? I thought it was fantastic. I
Oh,
really
thank
enjoyed
you
it.
so much. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, Safe Haven. Wow, that was an adventure for everyone involved. I'm sure you've probably, if you have looked into the series, I'm sure you have probably seen the not so awesome things that
Yeah,
happen on the
we'll stay
back.
away from that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, we will. But oh my gosh, it was so awesome. One of the things that I really loved was that it was filmed in my hometown, Winnipeg. So it was almost exclusively local talent. Bob is from Vancouver, Georgie's out in Toronto. Melissa lives in Los Angeles, but she's from Winnipeg as well. I was out in Vancouver, but most people were either from Winnipeg or live in Winnipeg. So it was really cool just to have so much homegrown talent on the series. Nikki, my character, oh, she was so cool. I wish I had gotten to explore it more. Unfortunately, because of what happened, we didn't get to, but she has two sides, and there's sort of like good Nikki and evil Nikki.
That was actually my next
Yeah.
question. I was like, yes,
Yeah. Yeah,
very
yeah.
yes,
And
yes.
and so from the audience perspective, she is the red herring. You don't really know what she's about. And me, obviously, as the actor, I've read all the scripts, I know. And so it was so cool and such a challenge as an actor to play Nikki's truth, like who she truly is, but from because like evil Nikki is from the perspective of Jenna. Evil Nikki doesn't exist. It's how Jenna perceives her. So
Hmm.
it was trying to lean into that while staying true, which is good Nikki. Nikki is in her heart good. She maybe doesn't go about things the best ways. But she's there to protect Jenna. And so it was really interesting trying to find how to play evil Nikki while keeping that through line of who she really was. Yeah, it was so fun. Maybe I know James Seal, the writer of Safehaven, is doing a spin-off of Rayburn. So maybe Nikki will make an appearance. Maybe
That
we'll
would be
get to
cool.
explore evil Nikki a little bit. But yeah, it was so fun. And also just like on the back end and being part of a series from start to finish and seeing kind of everything that happened from a business standpoint was also like such a huge learning experience. I really walked away from that show with like so much perspective on how to navigate the industry. Yeah, it was great.
For me, there's like two rites of passage for actors in the business. Either get on Law and Order, do an episode of Law and Order, or be
Yeah.
in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah,
And you fit in a Hallmark movie. Once
I
Upon a
have.
Christmas Miracle.
Yeah.
And Hallmark movies are my guilty pleasure. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
I
They're my
love
guilty
them.
pleasure.
That's
What was it
awesome.
like working with for Hallmark and working on that project?
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. That was my third credit, I think, ever. And so that one was really interesting. I had been acting for about a year at that point, and I auditioned for one role that was like a bigger role. And then I got called, if you watch it, Jeanette, if you remember who that is. I auditioned for Jeanette originally. And then I got called back for Ashley, who was one of the leads. And I was like, oh. And I was so shocked and also proud of myself. So I was like, I haven't even been acting for a year. Like, this is crazy. And I got called back, I think, like two more times on top of that for this lead. And then I ended up getting offered the role of Sadie. And I'm so grateful for it. And honestly, like looking back for where I was in my career, I think that was right.
Probably the right move. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was too green to have taken on a lead at that point. And that's the thing. Everything like hindsight's 2020, right? It all makes sense. At the time, I was like, oh man, but obviously still so grateful to get Sadie. And it was just so fun. Like everything is just so colorful and like Christmassy and sparkly. And one of the things I coached for that audition as well, and kind of like what I was saying, sometimes actors will get auditions and they're like they don't love the writing or whatever. But my acting coach was like, people feel like that about Hallmarks, but Hallmarks are the best most fun work you're ever going to do. You're not emotionally torturing yourself. It's always a happy ending.
Yes.
And the people who are watching this are like home for the holidays with their family, or they're like stuck in the hospital and they can't get home to see their family. So it's just like such a feel good thing. And that really like changed my perspective on it. Um, and because sometimes I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Like I don't know how to um make this uh not relatable, but again, like everything is like happy in Hallmark in the end, right? And so sometimes I'm like, I don't know how to play that believably always. Because not everything is always happy. But yeah, she really, really helped. And yeah, it was so awesome. It was such a whirlwind because it was one day and my scene was the first up, so it was like in and out. But yeah, it was great.
Hallmark movies are comfort food. That's what I
Your
call them.
comfort food. Exactly.
That's exactly
Exactly.
what they are. If you're always down, you can always turn on a Hallmark movie and
Yes.
just cheer you up.
Exactly. It's like I almost liken it to Friends or like The Office. It's just something that's like easy to watch. It's not like mentally draining. And it's so feel good. And they're just like quick and easy. They're just
Mhm.
yeah, they're like the bread and butter, honestly.
What's so cool is you got to be on the number one show on television right now, Tracker, which I thought is
Yes.
so cool. And I
Thank
have to
you.
tell you, the scene you did with Justin,
Yes.
the first word that came to mind, and this is when I wrote down who you were, and I was like, I want to interview her. You were so smooth in that scene with
Thank
Justin.
you so much.
I
That's
really
sweet.
enjoyed how you played that scene. So can you talk
Thank
about how you
you.
booked that and what it was like working on that and working with
Yes.
Justin?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, Justin was amazing. He's so chill. Like who you see on TV, he's not like overreactive. Like he's very pensive and just like relaxing, like very, very chill and relaxed. Like he was so awesome to work with and we got to chat between takes and yeah, he was so lovely. Um, and then again, it's very quick, right? And my scene, I can't remember if it was first of the day, but it was definitely earlier in the day. The thing that's so crazy about scenes like that, like when you watch it on TV, I think the whole scene is maybe like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, but it's a memorable scene though. For me, it
Yeah.
was a
Oh,
memorable scene.
thank you. Thank you. But it took like almost 8 or 9 hours to film that. Like, I think that's one of the things that's so funny about film and TV too, is like things that are just like a small snippet in time take so long to film. But oh my gosh, yeah, it was so, so fun booking it. I'm okay, this is my little like woo-woo thing. I'm a big believer in signs from the universe. And so I got this audition, and the bartender, I don't think they actually say this in the episode, but this is supposed to be in Kansas City, or she's from Kansas City, which is where my fiance is from. So I was like, okay, that's number one. And then the character who's missing in the show, Evie, I wasn't sure when I got my auditions if it was Evie or Evie, but I have a lot of students named Evie. Someone else who's close to me has a daughter named Evie. So I was kind of like, okay, that's number two. And there was something else. I don't remember, but I just felt like before I even did it, I was like, I just had a feeling. I was like, this is mine. And normally, like I was saying before, I try to just forget auditions, but I just had such this, like, such a strong feeling of wanting it. And I was like, I'm so good for this role. It was my ninth audition for Tracker. I was like, this feels like the one. And yeah, I coached for it. And again, my acting coach, he's so awesome. He really helped me. He literally had me like build a bar, and it was a whole thing. I was laughing at myself because I had one glass that I kept putting down and picking up. And I was like, oh no, they're gonna hate that. They didn't, I guess. But yeah, and then I found out I was pinned for it like a couple days after I had submitted it, and then I booked it pretty much right away after that. And yeah, it was just oh, it was just so fun. And I knew it was a bigger show. I had no idea when I was
It's
filming it that
the
it's the
number
number
one
one
show.
show. And I'm glad that I didn't because I was already nervous, of
And
course,
that
from
was my next question.
yeah, I was. It's funny because watching it back now, I've of course watched the episode, the scene, and it's funny because no one else knows me or how I act or my process. So them watching it, they're just intaking, right? They're not really they're not judging it the way that we are judging our own work. And so it's funny because I notice little things about myself when I'm nervous that I don't do when I'm not nervous. Um, I feel like generally I'm a pretty like expressive person, like facially, but when I'm nervous, I tend to be a little bit more stoic. So I was like, oh, I noticed that, but I feel like no one else probably did. Um, but yeah, and then it's all a learning experience, right? I think that's the thing
Hmm.
with acting is you can go to school for it and you can learn how to act, but then the business of actually being on set
It's a
and
whole new ball
it's
game.
a
Yeah.
whole other thing. So yes, whenever I'm on set, I'm usually nervous, at least in the beginning. Um, Doing the audition was fine, but yeah, I was definitely nervous. And that was my biggest project that I've filmed, well, biggest role that I've filmed in Vancouver to date. So I was like,
You
thank
were badass in the role. It was cool.
you so
And
much.
what I like about the writing is that he was asking your character all these questions. You were
Yes.
answering. Then he asked just one question. And usually the bartender looks at a good looking guy and they'll go look around and they'll go, okay, I'll tell you, but I'm not supposed to. You were
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, you're kind of
Like,
crossing the line right now.
oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
going to do that. I was like, yes,
yeah. Put it in
badass.
place. Yeah. Yeah. No, I loved it. And the writing was great. We ended up actually cutting one line on the day where he shows me the picture and she goes to
Hmm.
recognize her. And I was like, oh yeah, she was a hot mess. And then I forget what he says next. And then oh yeah, and then I say, she was out for a good time. One of the lines we cut was she's really a doctor. And it's funny because I feel like when you're nervous, you tend to really rely on, at least I do. I tend to rely on the lines in order to like pace out what's happening and piece it together and really be present with your scene partner. Because as long as you know your lines, you can play from there.
Hmm.
But then all of a sudden, taking out that one line, I was like, oh, am I gonna say it by accident from like muscle memory? Or like, is that gonna change what comes next? Because I've created this moment that relied on that line. Like, it's so interesting how, yeah, like what we were just saying, there's acting and then there's on the ground, like boots on the ground, you're filming and having to be ready and able to adapt. But yeah,
Well,
it
I'm
was
telling you, as a viewer, you were smooth in the scene. It was really
thank
fun to
you
watch you guys play
so
off
much.
each other. That was very
Thank you
fun.
so much. I really appreciate that.
So you're still young in your career, and you mentioned this word earlier, process. Have you put together your process yet? Are you still working on your process? How you prepare for a role?
Oh my gosh, my process is always different. Sometimes I'll get an audition and for whatever reason, I can like really understand the story or really understand the character. And then it's easy, like finding all the moments and the beats and the thoughts and the through line, it just comes to me. But then there are times, like here's actually a perfect example with Tracker. Um, Carla, my character, like you described in the scene, right? He's asking me these questions and I'm giving information. Sometimes I find scenes like that, I can be like, okay, how can I make this a little bit more interesting as opposed to just like blah, 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 just like giving information. Um, if I am finding that it's not coming as easily to me after putting in some work, I will work with my acting coach. I find that I do my best work, and so I guess this is my process. I do my best work when I'm working with someone. So
Hmm.
whether that's another actor, an acting coach, even for blood, when I booked blood, I remember being so nervous again. And my friend came over, Jay, he's an actor as well. And he was reading for me. And I was literally doing my makeup and he was asking me questions about the character. He was like, "Well, how long have you been nannying for the family? When did you and Skeet Ulrich's character like first get together? How long was it happening before?" Like he was asking me all these questions and I would go, I think." And he's like, "No, no, you don't think, you know. What was it?" And he really like made me make a solid choice.
Hmm.
Um, and so, and he helped me off camera. This was really the scene, if you've watched Blood or if you know of it, it's sort of like a thriller.
Hmm.
And the kid is sort of a vampire. And he asks if he can drink my blood in one of the scenes, which actually got yeah, that scene got cut from the movie. But I was like, I'm kind of like, what? And I sort of laugh it off because I'm like, oh, okay, weird kid. And I'm like, okay, how about a Fanta? And when Jay was reading for me off camera, he was like, can I suck your blood or whatever the line was? And I was like, what? And he went, I was like, what? But I couldn't break, right? And it really like made me go like, and it gave like such an awesome moment that we caught on my tape. And maybe that was the reason I booked it. I don't know, but yeah, just really working with someone is, I would say that's my process. I find that I can get really in my head. Um, so whether something's coming easily to me or not, just having someone who I can bounce ideas off of and can also pull me out of my head a bit is, I think, the best way that I work.
I'm curious, you mentioned getting some advice from your acting coach. What would you say to someone who came to you and said, "Hey, Danica, I'm really interested in being an actor"? What would you say to that person? What kind of advice would you give to them?
Oh my gosh. Well, I would say first things, honestly, I'd probably give the advice that my agent gave to me, my first agent, which is amazing. You have to do it. You have to find something that will sustain you alongside acting, not besides acting, alongside of it, whether that is creating your own business, whether that is working a job that pays you enough money so that you can still pursue other passions, live the kind of life you want to live. That I think is priority number one. Because if you are miserable aside from acting, that's gonna come through in your work. I did a casting
Hmm.
director workshop recently who basically said that. They're like, if you are drained from working three serving jobs and you're barely making rent, we can see that in your tape because the work isn't enjoyable for you anymore. Like maybe the audition is, but everything else is sucking the life out of you. I think that's it. It's in order to put forth your best work, you have to be sustained and fulfilled, ideally,
Hmm.
in the rest of your life. That would be my biggest piece of advice. Aside from that, I know some people are, they don't think class is important, and that I think class is, but either way, I think you need someone to assist you in the process. I think acting, especially now in the world of self-tapes, can be so isolating that having someone to work with, whether it's in class or a coach, is really important.
Speaking of that, do you like to audition? Because I know a lot of actors I speak to
I
that hate auditioning, and there are some that just
I
love it.
I love it. I love it. I am so all about every part of the process. My fiance would probably say a little bit too much. I take it very seriously. As soon as I get an audition, I'm like, okay, what does this character look like? What's her makeup like? What, like, where is all of this for her? Like, what kind of person is she? Um, and I just, yeah, I just get so into it. And I think honestly, my tapes probably take me a little bit longer than most people, but it's because I'm so passionate about it. When I'm done a tape, I'm like exhausted.
Exhausted, yeah, yeah.
I am exhausted, but I love it. Like it's just so fun. And there's something too about like maybe people will think I'm insane for this, but when you get like a bunch of auditions in a week, which that doesn't like always happen unless you're, someone super famous. But
Right, right.
like right now I've had one audition in the last 6 weeks and that just happens sometimes. But before that, I had four auditions and a callback in 1 week. Like it's just you just never know. But I just love it. I love being busy with acting. And every audition you get is so different. So yeah, it's just so fun.
One of my final questions, you mentioned earlier about the jack of all trades thing.
Mhm.
Right now, your main focus obviously is acting and in your business on the side. But do you
Yeah.
think you see yourself maybe writing down the road, maybe they're doing some directing, something like
Yeah,
that down the road?
totally. So my best friend Madison McIsaac and I, if you haven't interviewed her, she was a lead on oh my gosh, My Secret Santa, the Netflix Christmas movie.
Yes.
Yes, yes, she's so lovely. She's so sweet. We're actually writing a series together right now.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's honestly just about it's very girls adjacent if you've ever watched Girls, but it's about like living life as an actor. But more than that, like I was saying, all the stuff that happens alongside of acting, dating actors, casting director relationships, and just like all of the craziness that comes with that. I won't give away our opening scene, but it actually happened to me. I was working one job in the morning, taking the bus back, having literally 7 minutes to eat and change, and then running to my serving job. And I had gotten home and I had accidentally messed up when I started my next shift. It was half an hour earlier than I thought. So I had literally 2 minutes to eat and run out the door. And I was wearing my Uggs and I was running down the sidewalk to get to work. And I face planted. Like not even just like tripped and I was like, oh, like I fully knee skid, palm skid on the sidewalk to the point where people were like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yep, I'm good. Knees are bleeding, palms are bleeding." And it was just like, this is what we have to do to be able to do this thing that we love. Which is why I'm so grateful now that I'm not doing that. I'm teaching from home. But yeah, it's just like it's all of that. And I'm very excited for that. We have our pilot written, we're working on our next few episodes, but yeah.
This final question is going to be like a super nerd fun question because I'm a big TV guy. I watch a
I
ton of
love it.
television. What
Yes.
shows are you watching right now? And if you could be on any show that's on right now, what show would you
Oh,
be on?
what an excellent question. Okay, so I have been watching Love Story, the
Okay.
JFK Jr. and Carolyn
Yes.
Burnett story. Um, I love it. I haven't watched the episode that just came out this week, but I mean, I wanted to watch it anyway, but um oh gosh, Paul Anthony Kelly, I think that's his name. The actor who plays JFK Jr. Canadian. Hadn't he had booked it's funny, he had actually booked a project that I auditioned for, but it's not coming out. It just got shelved. But aside from that, hadn't booked anything in 10 years. He was down in LA and then he literally overnight his life changed, right? It takes 10 years to make an overnight success, right? That's what they always say.
Hmm.
And I just love that. That more I love that more shows are casting more unknown talent instead of like the same sort of A-listers all the time. I haven't watched Heated Rivalry, but that as well, right? Hudson Williams, Canadian actor. I know he had booked some things before that, but he wasn't anyone that like people would probably necessarily recognize on the street. Um, yeah, and I just started watching Landman. Um, because I feel like that is a show that I could conceivably be on. So I like to watch shows that I would like to audition for. So
Landman is hilarious. Billy Bob is hilarious.
he's
Love him.
so funny. I love him. Yeah. So I've been watching that as well. And then a show that I would love to be on. So this sort of started as a joke, but not a joke. It was still serious, but now it like might actually go somewhere. The reboot of Baywatch. I would love to be on the reboot of Baywatch. I was a lifeguard through high school and university, and yeah, I just think that would be so fun. It's just such an iconic show. Um, yeah, I would love to do that. And then honestly, anything in the Yellowstone world, I would really love to do
Anything with Taylor Sheridan.
anything with Taylor Sheridan.
That dude can
Lioness.
do no wrong.
Oh, Lioness. If
Lioness, oh my God.
I've watched that. I'm like waiting,
So
waiting.
good.
I'm like, I need the next season. Give it to me. Yeah, Lioness. Oh my gosh. My fiance had an audition for it a while ago. I thought he crushed it. He didn't get it. That's the way it goes. But I think I was more excited about it than he was. I was like, Lioness. Yeah, I would love to do anything sort of period piece as well. So like 1883 or 1923. I guess I haven't watched either of them. So I think I'm not sure if they're doing like anthology. I know they changed it to be now it's all like Dutton Ranch, so it's under the same sort of anyway. But yeah, something period piece, Taylor Sheridan and Baywatch.
And finally, are there any projects you have coming up that you can tell us about, or you have to keep things in the wraps right now?
No, no. So I have an episode of Animal Control coming.
Awesome.
Yes, yes, in about a month, I think it should be out. And then The Altruists, a Netflix miniseries. I can't talk about my role, but yes, it's the miniseries with Julia Garner is the lead. Just with all the crypto world and what's happening with that, or what happened with it in 2022.
Well, I want to say congratulations because, like I said, that little scene you did with Justin led me to you right now because I thought you were so great at it. So,
Oh my God. I so
congratulations.
appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot.